Hey everybody, it's me, obviously. I just wanted to speak on something really quickly that I've noticed since getting sober and since really kind of like learning to love myself and kind of working on figuring life out, which is that after about a year and a half into my sobriety was when I really started to like go to like a deeper level of self-acceptance and kind of just really living authentically. It took me about a year and a half. On July 19th of 2018 is when I was almost killed and when I really started like the transformation of just changing my life and really just, this transformation of self-love and self-acceptance and all that good stuff. And of course, sobriety. For the first year and a half, I was starting from absolute total rock bottom scratch. I had nothing. I had nothing to show for myself, and I didn't have a clue. So that first like year and a half was really just doing the basics. Like I got a part-time minimum wage job. I got a home, and I got in a Suboxone program that worked for me, and I really started to like do therapy, but kind of branching out from just like, oh well, I'm going to get a job because I have to and I need money. Besides just going that like obvious kind of direction with my life, it took me like a year and a half before I started to branch out and really living by like the wants, needs, and desires of my higher self. And a big turning point for me was the pandemic. It was kind of like the first like huge obstacle of my life and of everyone's life that I looked at, and I think like a healthy perspective. It was like the first time I had a major challenge in dealing with how I was processing this like global pandemic and just life as we knew it was changing. And it was kind of the first time like something catastrophic happened where I really actually used it to learn those lessons. Like I it was happening regardless. This horrible thing was happening globally to everyone, and I really looked at it from the perspective of not initially. After like a few months into the pandemic, or maybe just even a couple months, I started to look at it as an opportunity for me to really learn some lessons that were like available for the learning. And so I quit my job. And like I said in the other video, we really couldn't as a family like afford for me to quit my job, but I just couldn't do it. I started like writing full time, and I took my daughter out of daycare because I didn't need to keep her in daycare anymore. I didn't want to because of the pandemic. I didn't need to because of a job that I no longer was going to. And I just wrote every morning, which I'm still doing to this day, write every morning until she wakes up, and then just, take care of my daughter. And so it was the first time like this hurdle came in my life, and I really just, I didn't wallow in it. I wasn't like defeated by it. This was happening. All I could do was make the best of it. That's kind of the direction I'm just taking every obstacle, big and small. But that was really the start of kind of going deeper and like living authentically. And it didn't make any sense for me to quit my job. We were living in poverty before, and we definitely still are now. But it's just funny how that worked out. Like when something's the right thing for you to do, and you can feel that it's the right move, and you can feel that it's like nourishing, to the heart and to the soul and just, to your existence. When you make a move like that, it works out, even though it doesn't seem like it will. When you take that leap of faith, it's like, I feel like the universe, will support you. And I saw this interview with Liz Gilbert, and she was talking about like some kind of bumper sticker. I don't know. She was talking about a bumper sticker like being kind of hokey that she had seen. I'd never heard of this bumper sticker, but evidently it's like a thing that said, jump and the net will catch you. And she was like, no, that's not true. You may fall, you may not fall. And I disagree with that. Like, of course I see what she's saying. You know, nothing's going to like work out for everybody all the time, but even when you fall, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, if you didn't, you know, it does. It just depends on how you look at it. You know, every lesson or every, you know, obstacle or thing that happens, like good or bad, you know, you can really like learn from it. And just because you look at something as like, oh, a fall or not working out the way you thought it would, that doesn't mean that, I mean, your goals or what's going to happen, that's awesome, you know, isn't going to work out. It's just not like that day in that moment. And there's like growth to be had from that, you know, from that fall. And once you grow from it, then when it does work out, you're going to have that wisdom that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So, I mean, the net will catch you. It's just a matter of when, you know, but the net will catch you, you know, unless you just like stop believing yourself and stop going with that direction. It's just a matter of when, but it will happen. So I don't really like looking at it like, oh, well, you may fall and bust your ass. I mean, yeah, you will, but not really. I mean, you just got to keep trying until you don't fall. And so anyway, that's kind of like ties into with what I was talking about with not having $29, because money is still like super tight, but I'm still a non-smoker. And that was something else I was talking about in another video. I didn't have, you know, as a result of not having $29 to spend on like a, you know, a frivolous thing, I could not justify buying one more pack of cigarettes. And as a result of that, like I'm still chewing gum, and I feel awesome. So I just wanted to kind of share that story about how I handled the pandemic. And it was just really the start of me living, you know, really taking that next step and believing in myself, even if it's not like, you know, what's kind of expected or the normal thing to do or the safe thing to do. I've noticed, like, if I believe in myself, then it does work out. And that's kind of like an awesome way that the universe has your back. And even if like you fall, it doesn't mean, you know, it's just not the right time, but like 10 minutes from now, it may work out. And so that's what I keep telling myself. And it's worked so far. And it's just goes back to kind of like, you know, how you handle obstacles. It kind of goes back into like sobriety in life. So much of that was just like a perspective problem for me. You know, I just couldn't deal with the pain of existing. And like with addicts especially, it's just kind of like either looked at as, oh, well, you have like, you know, childhood trauma or family trauma, or some type of like mental illness, or both. But and I've brought that up too, because those are factors. But you know, family history, family trauma, and mental illness, those are factors that explain like why you were in the position that you were in, but they do not explain why you are in the position you are in. And that's something like I really had to kind of learn the hard way as well. I thought like, you know, I have this messed up mind, and it's like, you know, my mind's like a wreck, which it is, and I'm working on it, and it's getting better. But I always wanted like mental illness to explain like my present more than it ever felt like it really did. It explained kind of like my past and what led up to addiction and the life I led for so long, but it just didn't feel like it was. I was wanting more from my diagnoses than what I think it was ever meant to be in terms of an explanation. And I think that's true for everybody. You know, if you are of like cognizant enough mind or sound enough mind to be an addict, then you're of sound enough mind to not be an addict. You know what I mean? Like, no mental illness, in my opinion, is going to justify like addiction, because there's someone else who has just as many mental illnesses, if not more, just as much family trauma, if not more, who do not like lead this life of despair. And like I said, I really believe like addicts just have this inability to process pain, because like everybody, like if you think about it, and this is like something I've really like realized really since 2020 as well, like every single person in their life, whether they're an addict or whether they're like at the, you know, just kicking ass in the game of life, you know, everybody's going to use their mind, and everybody's going to use their family as a reason, regardless if it's a reason to fail or a reason to succeed. You know, every success story is like, oh, you know, I either came from a great family or I came from a really broken family, and I wanted something more. It's going to be one of those two things. And the same with mental illness. You know, you don't have to be like defined by the shitty things that you got, you know, the hands you got dealt, even, but that doesn't mean they were like, you know, any less horrific. But nevertheless, it's up to us individually, and it was up to like me to be like, you know what, I'm not going to be like defined by my like manic mind. I'm not going to be defined by like, you know, this inability to process pain. So I don't know, as always, that was kind of like all over the place, but I hope it helped.